Leora Hale arrived at the Interstellar Academy. On a quiet morning, when most students were still half asleep or rushing to their first class, the halls of the academy were a mix of glowing blue lights, floating screens, and countless alien students from hundreds of worlds. Some had scales, some had feathers, some towered over the crowd like living mountains. And in the middle of all of them walked a small, human girl with tired eyes and soft steps. Leora looked fragile, even to other humans. Her thin arms, pale skin, and slow walk made her appear weak. Her uniform seemed a little too big on her, and she carried her bag with both hands as if it were heavy. She kept her head down and avoided eye contact. Whenever other students passed her, she moved aside quickly and tried not to disturb anyone, to the aliens around her. She barely looked like a real combat student at all. Many of them whispered when they saw her, "Is that the new human transfer?" A tall insectoid student asked its group. "She looks breakable," another said. "Humans are soft. They panic under pressure." Why did the academy even admit her? Leora heard all of it, but kept walking. The Interstellar Academy was famous for training future soldiers, tacticians, engineers, and leaders. Every student was expected to be strong in body or mind. Humans were welcome, but most who came were tough, confident, or clever. Leora did not seem to be any of these things. She finally reached her classroom, a large room with layered seating and a wide training screen in the center. The moment she stepped inside, dozens of eyes turned to her. Some curious, some annoyed, some amused. Leora tried to ignore their stares and took a seat near the far corner. But the whispers grew louder. A reptilian student named Kesh leaned toward his friends and hissed softly, "Look at her. How is she going to survive real combat? If a wind gust hits her, she'll fall over." His friends laughed, the sound sharp and echoing. Leora pretended not to hear. The instructor, Commander Varen, entered the classroom soon after. He was a large, silver-armored alien with a deep mechanical voice. Everyone fell silent as he scanned the room. "We have a new transfer student," he said. "Leora Hale, human. You will treat her with the same respect you expect from others." The class did not respond, but several students exchanged amused glances. Leora bowed her head politely. "Thank you, Commander." Commander Varen continued with his lesson, explaining tactics and battle formations. Leora listened closely, taking notes. Her handwriting was neat but slow, and she paused often to catch her breath. As if her body struggled to keep up with her mind, no. One paid attention to her notes, but Commander Varen did. He noticed the way. Leora's eyes flicked across the diagrams faster than most students. He noticed her concentration, deep and sharp. And though she moved slowly, there was a strange calmness about her, a soldier's calm. Not a student's, but he said nothing. After class, students filed out quickly, excited for their next session. Leora stayed behind a moment, gathering her things. She tied the straps on her small backpack, stood and walked toward the door, outside the classroom. A group of students blocked her path. Kesh stood in front of them with his arms crossed. Huma and Leora stopped. "Yes. Why are you here?" he asked. "This is a combat school. Humans like you do not fit." Leora lowered her eyes. "I am here to study." "Same as you," Kesh snorted. "Study. You look like you can barely stand. If a training drone shoots at you, you will fall apart." His friends laughed again. Leora didn't answer. She simply stepped around them and continued walking. The group watched her leave. "I don't get it," one of them said. "Her file is restricted. Why restrict a weak human's file? What is there to hide?" "Nothing important," Kesh replied. "Probably just embarrassment." But while his voice was confident, his eyes were full of curiosity. And suspicion, Liora, reached the academy's small outdoor garden, one of the few quiet places on campus. She sat on a bench under a glowing blue tree. Its leaves shimmered like glass, reflecting small bits of light into the air. "Here." Away from others, Leora let out a long, slow breath. Her hands were shaking. She opened her bag and took out a small device, a rectangular metal piece with soft green lights pulsing on the side. She pressed her fingers against it. The lights glowed brighter, then steadied. Leora closed her eyes. A soft hum filled the air. Her shaking slowly stopped. The device was a suppression implant controller. She needed it. Without it, the strange power in her body would rise. She would lose control. Leora swallowed hard and tried to calm her racing heart. "Just stay quiet," she whispered to herself. "Stay small. Stay unseen." She placed the device back into her bag and stood to leave, but someone was watching her high above the garden. On a floating walkway, Commander Voran stood with his arms behind his back. His visor reflected the scene below Leora's tired expression, her trembling hands, and the mysterious device. He frowned. There was something unusual about her. Something the Academy had not explained in her files. Something hidden behind thick military clearance. "Human girl, what are you hiding?" he murmured, but he turned away before Leora noticed him. The next day, Leora attended a combat theory class. The room was larger than the first one, with more screens and a wide training floor in the center. Students stood in rows while drones floated above them. Projecting battle situations, the instructor, a strict avian general named Soraya, scanned the room with sharp eyes. Today, she announced, "You will run a basic simulation. Nothing dangerous, just a test of awareness." Students nodded and readied themselves. Leora tried to blend into the back row, hoping the drones would ignore her. But the moment the simulation started, everything went wrong. A drone above them flickered, then another. Then all of them went dark. The screens on the walls flashed red. Alert. System breach detected. Before General Soraya could react, several doors slammed shut and locked. The lights flickered as the Academy's defenses activated, and then the real threat appeared. Pirates, they burst into the room wearing dark armor, their weapons charged. They had hacked the Academy's simulation systems to break inside. Students panicked. Some screamed. Others froze, but not lower. The moment the pirates entered, her eyes sharpened. Her breathing slowed. Her posture straightened. It was like a different person had taken over her body, calm, focused, and cold. One pirate aimed a weapon at a nearby student. Leora moved, not fast, not strong, but aware. She grabbed the student's arm and pulled them down before the shot fired. Pushing them toward cover, another pirate flanked the group, but Leora pointed to the side without hesitation. "There is another one," she said. "The student." She warned, turned, and saw the pirate just in time. "General." Soraya noticed this with surprise. Pirates were shouting commands to each other. "Sweep left. Take prisoners. Use stun rounds first." Leora whispered, "They are using old Vex for rifles. Their aim units lag by half a second." A student beside her asked, "How do you know that?" Leora didn't answer. Her mind was working fast, too. As fast for someone who looked like she had never fought before. She guided 3 students behind, a pillar before the next volley of shots. She avoided lines of fire without even looking directly at the pirates. She seemed to predict their actions. General Soraya watched her closely. "I hate that girl," she whispered. Liora kept her head low, her voice steady. "Stay close. Do not run into open space. They are circling to create crossfire. Move right now." The students listened, shocked by her confidence. Meanwhile, the pirates became frustrated. "Who ruined our ambush pattern?" one shouted. Another pirate eyed Leora. "It's the human. She knows our tactics." Leora did not act brave. She did not charge or fight. She only thought faster than anyone else. General Soraya finally activated the emergency override, and the Academy guards rushed in. The pirates were forced to retreat. Students gathered, shaking from the experience, but Leora quietly stepped aside. General Soraya approached her. "Human, who trained you?" Leora froze. "I do not know what you mean." Soraya narrowed her eyes. "Your file is sealed. Your skills are unusual." "I am just good at noticing things," Leora whispered. But the general did not believe her. Across the room, Kesh stared at her with wide eyes. She predicted the pirates. Before they even moved, he said to himself, his suspicion deepened. Something was very wrong and very mysterious about the human girl everyone thought was weak. And now, even the academy had begun to notice it. Leora walked through the academy halls the next morning as if nothing unusual had happened. She kept her usual slow pace, her small steps quiet against the floor. Students around her whispered more than before. Some glanced at her with confusion, some with fear, and others with curiosity. The rumors from the pirate attack had spread fast. They said that fragile human girl had guided students to safety. They said she had predicted the enemy's moves. They said she had remained calm when everyone else panicked. Leora ignored all of it. Her face stayed gentle, soft, and tired. She kept her hands close to her chest, her fingers lightly gripping the strap of her bag. But inside, she felt uneasy. She replayed the previous day over and over. She had tried so hard to stay unnoticed, to stay quiet, to avoid showing her true abilities. But the pirate's sudden attack had forced her hand. And now, many eyes were on her when she wanted none. As she turned a corner, she felt a long shadow fall over her. Kesh stepped forward, blocking her path again. His reptilian eyes stared at her with sharp Est. Human, he said. Leora stopped politely. Good morning. Do not act normal, Kesh hissed. I saw you yesterday. You knew things you should not know. Leora lowered her gaze. I was only helping. Helping? You acted like a trained soldier. He moved closer. Why does a weak human know pirate formations? Why do you know weapon details? Why did you move with such precision? Leora felt her heartbeat rise. Please. I do not want trouble. Kesh leaned down so his face was level with hers. Your file is sealed. Only war survivors or military projects have sealed files. Which are you? Before Leora could answer, Commander Varan appeared behind them. Kesh, step away from her. His voice was calm but commanding. Kesh straightened immediately. Commander, I only wish to understand interrogating classmates is not allowed, Varan said. Move along. Reluctantly, Kesh walked away, but not before giving Leora one last suspicious glance. Commander Varan turned to her. Do not let him bother you. But do be careful. Many have questions now. Leora nodded. Yes, Commander. Thank you. Varan watched her leave. His visor reflected the hallway lights, but behind it, his mind was racing. The pirate attack had revealed something important, a side of Leora Hale that should not exist in a seemingly fragile girl. He needed answers, but those answers were hidden under layers of classified military clearance. As Leora disappeared into another corridor, Varan tapped his comlink. Open restricted file. Leora Hale. Authorization code Zatavoran 7. The device responded. Access denied. Clearance insufficient. Varan frowned. Insufficient? He was a commander of the academy, a high rank. What kind of human student had files above his access level? He stared down the hallway where she had gone, feeling unsettled. Leora reached her next class early and took a seat in the corner again. She placed her bag on her lap, holding it tightly. She wished she could make herself invisible. Maybe then no one would notice her shaking hands. She opened the small metal suppression. Device hidden in her bag just enough to check its status. The green lights blinked slowly, steady but weaker than yesterday. It was failing. Leora closed the bag quickly. If the device broke completely, the power inside her would surface again. And if that happened, people would know the truth. The Academy would know. The galaxy would know. She didn't want that. Not again. As other students entered, she kept her gaze on the floor. A group passed by her desk, whispering, Is that her? She saved 3 people yesterday. No way. Look at her. She's tiny. Maybe humans are more dangerous than they look. Leora hugged her bag a little closer. The instructor entered. This time, it was a tall, armored alien named Rosian, known for strict drills. He marched to the front and activated the training panels. Today we review yesterday's breach, Rosian said. We analyze mistakes. We learn to react better next time. Students nodded, some nervously. Rojan turned to the class. The pirates exploited blind spots in our simulation layouts. They used tactics common to the Rygos faction. Who here recognized that? Silence. No one raised their hand. Except Rojan noticed something. His eyes drifted toward Leora. She was staring at her desk. But Rojan had seen at her slight flinch when he said Rygos tactics. She knew. He didn't call on her. Not yet. But he watched her for the rest of the session. After class ended, Rojan approached Commander Varan. Varan, he said quietly. The human girl. She showed signs of advanced combat recognition. I noticed, Varan replied. I think she knows more than she wants to admit. Varan nodded slowly. We must be patient and careful. They both looked toward the hallway where Leora had disappeared again. Later that afternoon, Leora walked to the training field for physical drills. She hated physical drills. They always revealed how weak she looked. When students jogged laps, she fell behind. When they lifted weights, she struggled. When they practiced hand-to-hand forms, she moved slowly, as if afraid of breaking. And today was no different. Rojan called the class into rows. Begin warm-up. Students stretched, jogged, and prepared. Leora tried to keep up, but her breathing became shallow too quickly. Sweat formed on her forehead. A winged alien student looked at her with pity. Are you okay? You look like you're about to faint, Leora forced a smile. I am fine. Just. Slow Rojan walked past, observing. He saw her trembling arms, her tired legs, her weak posture. Hey. He said, if you are unwell, step aside. No, Leora said softly. I want to participate. Rojan raised a brow but said nothing more. Kesh, several rows ahead, looked back at her and smirked. See? He whispered to his friend. She can't even run. Yesterday must have been luck. Leora didn't respond, but she could hear every word. Then came the combat practice. Students were paired off. Leora was left without a partner for a while, as usual. No one wanted to spar with the fragile human because they feared hurting her. Finally, Rojan paired her with a small avian student named Farron, who at least looked gentle. Light sparring only, Rojan ordered. Farron nodded politely. Do not worry, human. I will be very careful. Leora nodded back. They began. Farron moved slowly, giving Leora time to react. But even so, she struggled to dodge. Her arms were weak, her balance unsteady. A few students chuckled. She can predict pirates, but not a simple punch. Maybe her brain is strong, but her body is useless. Leora's face warmed with embarrassment. Suddenly, Farron slipped, her foot catching on the training mat. She fell forward straight toward Leora. Leora reacted without thinking. Her hand shot forward. Light flashed behind her eyes. She grabbed Farron gently but firmly, stopping the fall with perfect timing and balanced something no one expected from her. Farron blinked in surprise. Thank you. Leora quickly let go and stepped back, breathing fast. She had reacted too fast. Too well. Kesh saw it. Rojan saw it. Half the class saw it. Rojan approached her slowly. Hail, that reflex. Have you trained before? No, Leora said. Just instinct. Rojan didn't believe that. But he didn't push further. When training ended, Leora rushed out of the field before anyone could ask more questions. She returned to the garden and sat under the glowing blue tree again. Her hands trembled as she pulled out the suppression device. The lights blinked fast and stable, warning her. Please, don't fail now, she whispered. She pressed her thumb to the activation pad. The device hummed weakly. For a moment, her vision sharpened, her pulse cooled, her body steadied. But the calm didn't last long. The device flickered. Leora swallowed hard. The power inside her pushed against the suppression. Like a tide trying to break through a thin wall, footsteps approached. Leora panicked and hid the device quickly. Commander. Varan stepped into the garden. Leora, hail, he said. She stood quickly. Commander? Relax. He raised a hand. I am not here to discipline you. I only wish to talk. Leora nodded nervously. Varan studied her silently for several seconds. Yesterday, you performed with remarkable awareness. Today, you reacted with perfect reflexes. Yet your body appears weak. This contradiction troubles me. Leora lowered her eyes. I just want to be normal. Normal does not require classified files and advanced reflexes, Voran replied. Her breath hitched. Please, don't ask. I cannot tell. Voran did not move for a moment. Then he stepped back. Very well. I will not force you. But know this. I will be watching over you. Not to expose you, but to protect you. Leora blinked in surprise. Protect me? Yes, Voran said quietly. Because something tells me many will soon try to uncover who you really are. He left the garden. Leora stood alone under the glowing leaves. Her heart heavy. She had tried so hard to stay invisible, but now, the mystery around her was growing, and soon, it would become impossible to hide. Leora stood in the silent hallway, listening to the distant alarms echoing across the academy. The sound was sharp, warning every student and teacher to prepare for an emergency, but she felt strangely calm. Her breathing grew steady, her eyes narrowing as she scanned the metallic walls. The emergency lights flashed a deep red, painting everything with a sense of danger. She knew this moment would come sooner or later. Something inside her had been preparing for it, even when she tried to act like the weak, fragile girl everyone believed she was. Around her, students ran in panic. Some shouted orders, some just screamed. Alien voices blended into a loud, chaotic mix. A tall Rixian almost bumped into her before stopping. Move, human. It is not safe here. He shouted, but Leora did not react. The Rixian frowned, confused by her stillness, then hurried away with his group. Leora's hand twitched at her side. Her implant buzzed softly under her skin, a faint vibration she had felt only a few times before. It meant her suppression was weakening. She closed her eyes for a moment, trying to breathe slowly, trying to force herself back into the role she lived every day. The quiet girl. The tired girl. The harmless human. But that disguise was slipping fast. She stepped forward as explosions rumbled in the distance. A nearby window flickered with a shield impact, bright sparks of energy splashing against the academy's barrier. The enemy fleet was close to close. Leora clenched her fists as she moved through the crowd. She recognized the pattern of attack, the rhythm of the strikes. They were not random. They were controlled, organized. Someone was guiding them. As she walked, a group of students noticed her calm face. Kesh, the reptilian student who had once investigated her past, stared with wide eyes. Why aren't you afraid? He hissed, stepping closer. Ever. Yon else is running. You look like you expected this. Leora shook her head gently. Fear comes later, she said softly. Another explosion rocked the floor, causing a few students to fall. Leora reacted instantly, grabbing the nearest one, a small Avorian girl, and pulling her aside before a ceiling panel crashed down. The girl looked up at Leora, trembling. How did you move so fast? She whispered. Liora didn't answer. She just helped the girl stand. Kesh narrowed his eyes, suspicion turning to certainty. You know something? You've seen this before, haven't you? He said. Her voice was quiet but firm. We need to go to the training wing. It's safer. She started walking again. Kesh blinked. Safer? How can you know that? The invaders could come from... They won't. Leora interrupted. Not from that direction. Their strategy focuses on the central hangar and the west flank. The training wing is outside their path. She didn't look back as she spoke. The group of students stared at her, stunned. Her knowledge was too precise, too confident. Still, many followed her. Something in her voice made them trust her, even if they didn't understand why. As they moved, Leora's implant sparked again. She winced, gripping her arm. Kesh saw the sudden pain and stepped closer. Are you hurt? He asked. She shook her head. I'm fine. But she wasn't. The implant was failing, and fast. Every second it weakened. More of her suppressed instincts and memories pushed to the surface. She remembered battles, ambushes, orders shouted through smoke. She remembered her team faces she had tried to forget. She remembered hiding in ruins, guiding survivors. Leading missions no child should have faced. She remembered the Black Dusk incident. Her chest tightened as she pushed the memory away. Not now. She had to stay focused. When they reached the training wing, they found a group of instructors trying to organize students. The senior instructor, a stern Valteri woman named Commander Yilin, saw Leora approaching and frowned. "You, human student. This area is restricted." Moved to the evacuation groups before she could finish, the walls shook violently. The lights dimmed, and the Academy's shield flickered again. Yilan's eyes widened. That blast. They breached the outer deck. How did they get through so quickly? Leora didn't hesitate. They used a kinetic drill weapon. Your sensors wouldn't detect the buildup until it was too late. Yilan stared at her. How could you possibly know that? Leora's implant buzzed again. She could feel her pulse become slow and focused. Because it's the same tactic they used on Orion Station. Gasps filled the room. Orion Station was destroyed years ago. Only one survivor had ever been recovered. Yilin stepped closer. "Who are you, girl?" she demanded. Leora lowered her eyes. "Just a student commander. But we don't have time for questions. They're targeting the command center. Without it, the Academy will fall in minutes. You need to mobilize the defense drones and reroute the emergency shields to cover the central corridor." Yilan hesitated. She was a proud Voltari, trained in strategy. But this human spoke with the voice of someone who had lived through battles more brutal than any simulation. And she was right. The commander turned to the instructors. "Follow her plan. Move," she barked. The instructors rushed out, leaving Leora standing in the center of the room. Kesh approached her slowly. "Leora, this is impossible. Humans don't fight like this. They don't think like this." "Some do," Leora whispered. Suddenly the door burst open, and an armed enemy squad charged inside. Students screamed and ran for cover. The invaders moved with sharp, trained precision, firing energy blasts that tore through equipment. Leora didn't move for a moment. Then her eyes sharpened. Her weak posture straightened. Her hands steadied. Her breathing slowed. She stepped forward, before Kesh could call out her name. Leora grabbed a fallen metal bar from the floor and spun it with expert control. The invaders fired at her, but she moved like water dodging, sliding, using the environment to her advantage. She struck one enemy's weapon, knocking it aside, then swept his legs with a smooth motion. Another fired from behind, but Leora had already shifted. She jumped over a bench, landed silently, and threw the metal bar with deadly precision. It hit the attacker's armor, stunning him long enough for an instructor to finish the job. Students watched in shock, unable to believe their eyes. The fragile human girl who could barely stay awake in class was fighting trained soldiers. Yilan stared in awe. Kesh whispered, "She's not weak. She never was." The last attacker tried to flee, but Leora grabbed his arm, twisted it behind his back, and forced him to the ground. Her movements were too clean, too perfect, too practiced. When the room finally fell silent, everyone looked at her with fear and respect. Leora stepped back, her hands trembling as the implant flickered again. Her voice was quiet. "We have to move." This was only the first squad. More are coming. Yilan approached her slowly. "What are you?" she whispered. Leora looked at her with tired eyes. Someone who didn't want to fight anymore, but now she had no choice. As the enemy ships closed in, and the Academy shook under the pressure of war, Leora stepped into the role. She tried to bury not a weak student, not a quiet girl, but the legend she once was. The battlefield was calling her back. Leora stood at the edge of the broken corridor, breathing slowly as smoke drifted through the air. The Academy trembled under the weight of the ongoing attack, each impact sending vibrations through the metal floor. Students and instructors hurried around her, preparing defenses and helping the injured, but their eyes often turned to her with a mixture of awe and fear. She could feel their stares even without looking. The implant beneath her skin buzzed again. The suppression function was nearly gone now, failing little by little. Every shockwave felt like it pushed her old instincts further into the open. Her mind sharpened, her senses stretched. In memories she had spent years trying to bury rose to the surface. She took a slow breath and forced herself to walk forward. Kesh ran to her side. His reptilian face was tense. "The enemy forces are regrouping." Commander Yilin said they're preparing a final push. "They want to take the academy before more help arrives." Leora nodded. She knew this already. She could feel the enemy's strategy like it was written in the air. Their attack patterns, their timings, their formation. None of it was unfamiliar. Kesh watched her carefully. "Leora, you're too calm. You look like someone who's been in this situation before." Many times. She didn't answer. Instead, she kept walking until she reached the training courtyard, now turned into a defensive center. Portable shield emitters hummed in the corners. Students were carrying energy cells, stacking weapons, setting up barriers. Instructors barked orders, trying to keep the area organized. Commander Yilin approached quickly. Her tall frame was tense. Human. "Leora, I won't pretend I understand who you are. But your help is necessary now. Our defenses won't hold another full assault." Her voice dropped. "We need a plan." Leora looked around the courtyard. The shield was flickering. The students were exhausted. The instructors were injured. The entire academy was running purely on fear and desperation now. She closed her eyes. The buzzing in her implant grew stronger. She felt the shift inside her, the transformation she never wanted to experience again. But she could not fight it anymore. When she opened her eyes, they were calmer than before. "The invaders have one weakness," Leora said quietly. "They rely too much on the central command ship to coordinate their soldiers. If we disrupt it, their attack formation will fall apart." Commander Yilin frowned. "Disrupt? How? We don't have ships left. The Academy's main cannons are destroyed." "We don't need cannons," Leora replied softly. "Just access to the gravity net system in the engineering bay." Yilan's eyes widened. "The gravity net? That system wasn't meant to be used offensively. It's for transport and supply." She paused, then added, "Can it even reach an enemy ship?" "If modified manually," Leora said. "I can do it." Kesh looked surprised. "You can operate something that complex?" She gave a small, tired smile. "I've done it before." Yilan stared at her for a long second. She could see something in Leora, something old, something trained, something dangerous, but also something determined. "Then go," the commander finally said. "We'll hold the courtyard. But hurry." Leora nodded and turned away, moving with quick precision. Kesh hurried after her. "Wait, I'm going with you. It's too dangerous," she said. "Everything's dangerous right now," he replied. "I won't slow you down." She hesitated, then nodded. They ran across the academy, dodging falling debris and stepping over damaged panels. The lights flickered, alarms blared, and stray energy sparks crackled in the halls. As they neared the engineering bay, the buzzing in her implant turned into a sharp sting. She stumbled for a moment. Kesh reached out to steady her. "Leora, are you okay?" She shook her head. "No, but I'll keep going." They entered the engineering bay. Large machines hummed around them, and the central control console glowed faintly in the dim light. Leora went straight to the gravity net terminal and began typing rapidly. Her fingers flew over the controls with expert precision. Kesh watched her, confused. "How do you know all this?" "You're a student." "I was a soldier before I was a student," she said softly. "A long time ago?" Kesh froze. "You were in the Black Dusk incident." He whispered, "Liora." Didn't look up. "Yes." Kesh swallowed hard. "But everyone said the survivor was a legend, a ghost. A.H. Uman with impossible skills. A myth," she finished. "That's what they said. It was easier that way. For me?" Kesh didn't know what to say. He just watched her work. Finally, Leora hit the last command. The gravity net hummed, its power building. The entire room vibrated as energy gathered in the coils. "It's ready," she said. "But I need to aim it manually from the observation deck." They rushed upstairs. The deck overlooked the battlefield through thick, reinforced glass. The enemy command ship hovered in the distance, its weapons firing continuously. Leora placed her hand on the targeting controls. "I need you to stabilize the power conduits," she told Kesh.
Ow.
"If they overload, the entire system will explode." Kesh nodded quickly and ran to the secondary controls. Leora aligned the gravity net. The energy readings spiked. The sky outside flashed with explosions as the Academy's last defenses fought to hold on. Students down below were shouting. Instructors were firing at invading squads. The entire campus was shaking. The enemy command ship glowed brighter as it charged a massive strike. Kesh shouted, "Ow, Leora." "Do it now." She hit the activation switch. A deep, thunderous pulse rippled through the sky as the gravity net fired. The air shimmered. For a moment, everything went silent. Then the enemy command ship twisted violently, caught in the sudden gravitational pull. Its formation shattered. Smaller enemy vessels collided with one another as they lost. Coordination. The Academy below erupted in cheers, but Leora didn't react. She felt a sharp pain shoot through her body. Her implant gave one final spark and then failed completely. Her knees buckled. She fell. Kesh dropped the controls and ran to her. "Leora, Leora, stay awake." Her vision blurred. I'm fine," she whispered. But she wasn't fine. Without the implant, all the suppressed memories, instincts, and trauma crashed into her at once. Her mind felt heavy. Her body trembled. The last thing she saw before everything went dark was the enemy ships retreating. Their formation broken. Their attack failed, and the Academy safe. When she woke up hours later, she was lying in the medical bay. The lights were soft. The room was quiet. Her body felt lighter, strangely free without the implant. Commander Yilin stood beside her bed. "You saved us," the commander said. "Without you, the Academy would have fallen. The Council has already heard what happened. They want to meet you." Leora blinked slowly. "Meet me." "Why?" "Because they believe you can help stop something bigger," Yilin said. Kesh appeared beside her, smiling softly. "Everyone knows the truth now, Leora. You're not a weak human. You never were." Leora looked down at her hands. They were shaking slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of everything she had carried for so long. "I didn't want to fight again," she whispered. "Maybe not," Kesh said. "But you saved us because you cared. That's who you are." Outside the window, the morning sun rose over the damaged academy. Students were working together, rebuilding. Instructors guided them, using her strategies. Life was returning. Leora slowly sat up. Her voice was soft. "If they need my help, I'll give it. But I won't fight alone this time." Kesh nodded. "You won't have to." Leora stood, weak but steady, and walked toward the door. She no longer hid her strength. She no longer pretended to be Flimsy. She was a survivor, a protector, a legend reborn. And her story was just beginning.